WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
And good morning, Westfield. You are listening to Rock on Westfield with your host, Harry Rock. It is Wednesday, June 24th. It is steamy outside, and I have to say our Studio 120 here located at Westfield Technical Academy feels like the steam room at the YMCA right now because
it is sultry.
It is. There is no air moving, and the air conditioning definitely is not working. But you are listening to WCPC Community Programming Channel 15 and WSKB 89.5. With me in the control room today is Pete Coles, our highly capable WSKB and WCPC Channel 15 show producer.
I'm something.
And the
Don't know about highly capable.
and Pete is the only person other than my wife that I let push my buttons because, oh, what a job he does on that big board, pushing the right buttons to keep us on the air. My guest today via Zoom is Andrea Allard. I'm really excited to have her. We've had her on a couple of times. She is the CEO of the YMCA of Greater Westfield, and we're going to be talking about what's happening with the Y and plans for reopening, and looking forward to that. So, Andrea, so thrilled to have you on with me this morning. I can see you're coming from home unless your office background has changed. And oh, the wonders of Zoom, how we have learned how to communicate versus having to be right in front of each other. It's fabulous. So how are you doing?
I'm super this morning, Harry, and yes, I am from home.
Yes, absolutely. So, I was thinking about you this morning as I was starting to kind of prepare for the show, and I was trying to remember. I said, I've had you on in the past, and I'm sure we've talked about your background with the Y, and I got thinking about it. I said, one of the things I always like to do with our listeners is kind of give them a sense of just who is it that we're talking to. And, I said, I know that the Y has been in Andrea's life most of your life. It's been a part of your world. But I don't know when and where it started, because you grew up in Westfield. But when did you first find the Y?
The summer of 1978, so dating myself a little bit, but my mom went back to work and needed a place to send her brat kid, and I ran home from school with a flyer about Camp Shepherd, and that's where I've been ever since.
Oh, so it was Camp Shepherd that you started?
It was Camp Shepherd, and I vaguely remember swim lessons as a kid at the Y, but it really all started at camp. I spent almost every summer out there, up until the time I was 24, and then I became a camp director over at Camp Weber for the Springfield YMCA.
Oh, okay. I do recall that part of your journey.
So I was there from the age of 7 to 23.
Wow.
And then, well, I'm technically back, so I've been there for 4 years too.
That's amazing. So now, as you were growing up, and I know I didn't, I started in the Y at Camp Hazen, as you well know. I was 13 as a CIT, and then worked my way through as a camp counselor and through high school and college. So sort of a similar journey. I didn't start as early as a camper as you did. But I did not think of the Y as a career path. Had you thought about the Y as a career path at that point, or did that come later?
It came later after I graduated from UMass, and I had a job that really wasn't fulfilling. And so I kind of bounced around a little bit, and then I had this opportunity to go back to camp as a camp director with the Springfield YMCA. I was going to do that for a summer until I figured this thing out, and it figured me out. And I spent 11 years at the Springfield Y and left there as a branch executive director. So it was a calling, but it found me before I found it.
Yeah, and then was Hartford I think you had something else in between. You eventually ended up at the Hartford Ys. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I did a stint with Western New England College at the time, prior to them becoming a university. And then from there, I was at the YMCA Greater Hartford for 4 years. So I ran 2 branches there. I ran their downtown branch, and then was able to build and program a brand new branch in the north end of Hartford. So I ran both those branches.
It's interesting. And I know that was the Wilson Gray branch that you helped build. A beautiful branch in a really important part of Hartford, underserved community, quite frankly. And I've been there a few times with my students from Springfield College when I was still there touring. And it's just amazing to see the impact that branch has been making. A little side story. My sister, I'm the oldest of 6, and one of my sisters came across a bunch of newsletters of my dad and my mom before they were married, when they both grew up in Hartford and belonged to a outing club at the Hartford YMCA called the I'm not going to come up with the name right now. But anyway, they would go, it was an outing club through the Y, and this would be back in the 40s, and they would take all kind of trips and stuff. And one of the newsletters I was just recently reading was an experience where they were at Camp Jewel, and they were doing canoe races. And, the person that's writing the newsletter is talking about my dad. He's talking about my mom. Of course, at that point, they're not a couple, but it was so funny to read that. But at one point in the newsletter, it talks about my dad going to meet with, I can't think of his first name, but it was the director of the Y. Last name was Gray. And to talk about their outing club and stuff. And I said, oh my gosh, that's where the name Gray comes in the Wilson Gray name. No, it doesn't.
No, that was a donor name.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it was all a donor name. So
oh
it was it was Mark and Wendy Wilson who donated a significant amount of money to that building, and her maiden name is Gray. So it is the Wilson Gray YMCA.
Oh, well, that straightens that out, because I found it to be an incredible coincidence that I was just reading this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm reading about him going to talk to this director. Last name is Gray, and then I'm thinking Wilson Gray said it's got to be named after the same person. But that's interesting. But anyway, a lot of parallels there. But you certainly have made your journey back here to Westfield and doing an amazing job. And I'm thinking you're around 6 years you've been here?
8.
8?
I started in May 2012, and even though I worked in Springfield and Hartford, I never left Westfield.
Your heart was always in Westfield.
I was a commuter to Hartford, so I've born and raised and lived in Westfield my entire life.
Oh, that's so fun. 8 years. I can't believe it. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it's eight. It's eight, Harry.
And I'm guessing that right now it feels like 80 with everything that you've been going through with this COVID shutdown and stuff. So,
Yeah, I did 8 years in the past 3 months. So
well, that's a great segue. So, the Y shut down when? Around March 14th, 16th?
6 p.m. on March 16th, we closed the doors.
Wow.
Before Governor Baker's orders for all non-essential businesses to close.
Wow. And so how has life been going since then?
Well, we were able to pivot. I guess that's the word of the pandemic, pivot, right? And we offered emergency childcare for essential workers. So we've been doing that since March 20th. The last day of that is this Friday. Great group of kids, great group of parents. We were happy to serve them. Really, it's the first time the youth programming has taken over the entire Y because we have no adults or members in the building. So they have the GP room at their disposal, the gym at their disposal, all kinds of great stuff. So, kudos to the staff who have worked that, to the kids who have persevered, to the parents who are going to work every day on the front line. So we had 20 families from healthcare. We had industry, manufacturing, Eversource, energy. So really, these people are out on the front line every day of the pandemic, and their kids had a safe place to be at the Y. And shout out to the childcare staff who never get listed as an essential employee, but there's a lot of YMCA's across the Commonwealth providing the services. I think as YMCA's, we provided more than half of the essential childcare for the entire state.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, really a dynamic group of people that found a new way to offer an essential service.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So I didn't realize. So that program essentially ends this Friday, and then you start into your regular programming. So we're now.
I wouldn't call it regular.
That's true. Let me back up. I think I was listening to Joe Rouse on Tina Gorman's show when I was driving in, and Pete, do I have this right? We are stage 2, version 2,
phase 2, step 2.
Phase 2, step 2.
Okay, I can't keep track of.
I told Joe I want to know when we get to pi.
Yeah.
3.161527 whatever.
So now does phase 2, step 2, does that impact you at this point? Or when do you start becoming impacted and being able to move forward? So where are you?
We're wrapping up emergency childcare services, and we are hoping to launch our summer program for Summer Wise kids on July 1st. So we're set to do that, and then our goal is to open Camp Shepherd on July 6th. And then as far as our health and wellness facility, we all know that the YMCA is more than a gym and swim, but during a pandemic, the health and wellness facility is definitely in the gym category for the state. And gyms are in stage 3 right now, phase 3. And that has been bumped out. The initial first date of stage 3 was June 29th, but with step 2 of stage 2 being a full 2 weeks, the earliest that gyms could open would potentially be July 6th. But again, with the abundance of caution coming from Boston, if they do phase 3 in stages, gyms might, that date, it's a moving target until it's announced by the governor. So we're prepared. We're working hard to we've done a lot of things to our facility, our programming, social distance measures, cleaning and sanitation stations. So we've been able to work a lot on our facility, but we don't have the guidance yet from the state. So we're looking at industry, we're looking at neighboring states, we're looking at Ys that have opened across the country, and we're preparing our game plan based on the knowledge that's there. But we'll need the guidance from the state, and then some days to make sure that we have it right by our state guidelines, and then train our staff So even after it's announced that the Y can open, we'll probably need a good 4 or 5 days to prepare the facility to meet the guidelines and train our staff on the new protocols and bring them back.
What do
It's
you?
not just turning back on the lights and welcoming everybody back. We're retraining staff. We're going to have to retrain our members. Your favorite elliptical might be in a different room. So there's a lot going on.
So do you have a sense of what? I'm guessing there'll probably be a limit to how many people you can bring in at one time. And I know you don't have the guidelines yet, but you probably have I know you guys. I'm sure you've been doing a lot of thinking, planning, and kind of projecting of where this is going to go.
Yeah, we're spreading out our cardio equipment right now 6 feet apart. And whoever's been to the Y or is a member of the Y, we know I refer to it as an old New England farmhouse, and we've used every nook and cranny possible, we thought. But we've found a way to repurpose them. So we've taken cardio machines out of the downstairs cardio room and put those in Child Watch 1 and 2. So we have our cardio 6 feet apart. We'll be taking cardio out of the upstairs cardio room and placing that in the back of the GP room. We have the gym and the GP, the general purpose room. We're ready to set those up with floor decals. Right now we have 8 feet of physical distancing in the GP room and 10 feet of physical distancing in the gym. But like when the state of Connecticut released it, they needed 12 feet of physical distancing for group exercise class. So again, we're waiting for the guidance, but we've taken all the equipment out of closets. So when you come in, if you don't necessarily need the heavy weights in the weight room, and there's not a class going on in the gym, you can find a decal on the floor and you'll find all the weights, the bands, the bars that you'll need. So you take them from the disinfected, clean, sanitized station, bring them to your spot, wipe them down again, use it all there, wipe them down again, put them back to the return pile so then the staff can clean them again before they're put back into circulation. So I think we have a pretty solid plan, and you may find that you have more spots to work out now than before. Unfortunately, that's at some things had to go in the beginning here. So, adult open basketball isn't going to be a thing for a while based on guidelines. Unfortunately, we can't bring back gymnastics until maybe at least September because we need the real estate that, for the members. The gym team, they convert the gym all the time, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and we just have to get equipment, the health and wellness equipment out on the floor. So we're going to come back. It's not going to be the programming, it will be there, but we're going to start slow and amp up. There'll be things that, like the steam room won't be available. That's just not going to happen. We've had to discontinue towel service. That's not going to be available. So we have a letter going out to members this week to let them know about the new setup. But we've been working hard. And again, it all comes down to washing your hands and physically distancing. So we're waiting for those guidelines from the state, and we'll be ready to roll.
What's going to happen with the strength conditioning rooms downstairs with all the
those
weights?
Will have capacity limits in them. So we'll have the capacity limits posted, and obviously we can't move weight stacks. So we are going to ask that everyone physically distance while in those rooms, and we'll have staff around to monitor. And that's how we'll do that. And cleaning your equipment before and after using, no sharing equipment, no working into sets. And then we do have based on what we think the traffic flow is going to be, we're gonna start this without a reservation system. But if we find that there's log jams to get into certain areas, like lap swimming or the weight rooms, then we'll institute a reservation system. So you can call the Y. A lot of Ys have gone to maybe a digital platform like Group Pro X or something like that. But I'm going to go old school with this, and I think it might be sometimes old school is easier school. That you can call the Y, much like an old racquetball court reservation book. That you can call the Y, block off the hour and 15 minutes that you want in the room, and you can just make a reservation for your space. So if the traffic flow dictates that we need to do reservations, we will institute that. We're going to try to start without it, to keep it more of a free flow, because we will have so many places that members can work out. So if you need 20 pounds, if you don't need more than 20-pound weights, you could actually do your entire workout in the gym because all the equipment will be out for you.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. What about the pools?
The pools will be open for lap swimming, and one per lane. We are also we'll do the adult open swim in the small pool to start. It's just a little warmer, and I know people have been calling and they miss their small pool and the therapy swims that they have. Every time I see a Y member on the street, they just miss us, and they tell me that they've never been in the worst shape of their life. So
I am shrinking. My back is killing me. Yeah, I'm one of those. I need the Y just to keep my body together, and I've been struggling here for the last probably 8 weeks now. It's tough.
Yeah. Again, we're waiting for the state guidance to come out. People may have to come to the Y in their bathing suit, already showered from home. We'll see what the locker room availability is, but it really comes down to that state guidance once we get it. But we're ready. We're ready to receive it. Our staff is ready to go. I have a staff meeting, twice a week with my leadership team, and everyone is at the point that we've been planning. We want the final guidance, and we want to execute, and we want our members back.
Right.
But we're going to do it safely, and we're going to follow the governor's phases, obviously, and we're going to follow the state guidelines.
Yeah, fantastic. I can just and I know many of your staff there, and you've got a quality team, so I know a lot of great thoughtful thinking and planning has gone into this. Locker rooms, will people, you kind of alluded to it, will people be able to shower and then go on to work from there, or will locker rooms be available?
That's to be determined.
Okay.
It's really to be determined on what the state says about showers and locker rooms.
Yep.
So that'll be part of the guidance.
Yep, understood. Swim lessons probably won't be happening.
Swim lessons are, I don't see them happening or being released by the state anytime soon. With swim lessons, there's a lot of personal contact or close-up contact when you're trying to teach a child how to swim. You really cannot physically distance with a non-swimmer when you're trying to teach them how to swim.
Right.
So we may be at some point in September be able to bring back the swim lessons for the kids who have the ability to make it across the pool, so they can work on their stroke and things like that. Or it may be the parent needs to be in the pool with the child at all times. So right now we're not anticipating swim lessons until the fall.
And I'm guessing, like swim team, you normally always had swim team practices, and you looked at swim team coming back in the fall. That's probably on hold at this point as well.
Swim team's actually a little easier to bring back. All the kids know how to swim. They can have their lanes. USA Swimming has come out with a lot of guidance on how to set up practices for the number of kids you have. So if we have 12 kids in the pool at a time, each starting at opposite ends of the pool and not stopping in the same space, swim team is almost a little bit easier to manage.
Interesting. And I saw that it was just on the news that gyms who have personal trainers, people can schedule personal trainers. You can go in and work out with a personal trainer. Do I have that right? Or
I believe that, for some of the smaller boutique gyms, you can definitely do personal training. Right now, outside classes can happen, but it's a limit of 9 members to 1 instructor outdoors. So we, made a conscious decision, as most Ys across the Commonwealth, that when we open, but it's really tough to open piecemeal with your building. We have HVAC systems, that we need to turn back on, and all kinds of other facility things that we're working on. So we're going to open when we open. We'll have the personal training back, group exercise will be back. Our staff is working on some outdoor programming for some classes, whether we use that at the Y or whether we go out to Camp Shepherd and do some of that. But again, that'll probably roll out later in July because we have to take the time to open right and then add things, as opposed to opening everything at once. It's a management. Let's get good at this for a week, and then let's add things on. Let's train our members. Let's train our staff. Get really good at this, and then we can add things in.
Yeah, that's great guidance. To your point of moving outside, last year obviously was the 350th, and on the big birthday weekend on that Saturday, which would have been May 18th, your instructors led a yoga class on the Esplanade. I can't think of the name of the park. Producer Pete can't. But anyway,
Like
it's
5 Mile Falls.
Five
or-
Mile
Five Mile
Falls,
Falls, yeah.
right between the two twin bridges. And when I first heard about that plan, I'm thinking, you're doing yoga between, you got north and southbound traffic going between you. So I stopped in early that morning as I was coming through to start, get the day going. And
You forgot about the nice little park there.
I was shocked at how well that worked,
Yeah.
and people loved it, and they were really impervious to the traffic going by. But it was amazing in an area that you wouldn't think would be suitable. It was phenomenal. Everybody brought their yoga mats. You could hear the water, cascade, because you have the falls underneath the bridges, so you could hear the water cascading over the drops of the falls. And it's very, very pretty anyway, and just being outside, it was amazing. So to your point, you don't have to be inside to do a lot of these programs. As long as the weather is suitable, you can certainly get outside.
Yeah, it's tough to get out there when it's 90 degrees and humid out. So there'll be more fall outside programming in the fall when the weather's on our side. But we're definitely, want to bring something of the outdoors to our members.
Oh, that's great. We're going to take a short break here, and then we will be back. You've been listening to Andrea Allard, the CEO of the Westfield YMCA. Really interesting interview. When we come back, we'll be talking about childcare specifically and what parents can look for services related to them going back to work as the world starts to reopen here. But really, really interesting interview. You are listening to Rock On Westfield on WCPC Channel 15 and WSKB 89.5 FM. I am Harry Rock, and we're going to take you out with a song called Summer Breeze. It was a 1972 #1 hit by Seals and Croft. We'll be right back.
See the curtains hanging in the window in the evening on a Friday night. Little light is shining through the window, lets me know everything's alright. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. See the paper laying on the sidewalk, a little music from the house next door. So I walk on up to the doorstep, through the screen and across the floor. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Sweet days of summer, the jasmine's in bloom. July is dressed up and playing her tune, and I come home from a hard day's work, and you're waiting there, not a care in the world. See the smile waiting in the kitchen, food cooking and the plates for two. Feel the arms that reach out to hold me in the evening when the day is through. Summer breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield. Underwriting for Community Radio on WSKB is brought to you in part by Rockies. Over 30 convenient locations throughout Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Florida. One of the nation's largest ACE dealers. Expertise and great product selection in paint, hardware, lawn and garden. That's Rockies. Rock solid service since 1926. On the web at rockies.com.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
And welcome back, listeners. You are listening to Rock on Westfield with your host, Harry Rock. It is Wednesday, June 24th. And on the air with me in a fascinating conversation is our local CEO of the YMCA of Greater Westfield, Andrea Allard, really talking about the essential services. And I like that word essential because the YMCA, in my mind, is essential to our community. But everything that they have been doing, regardless of the curveball that they were thrown back on March 16th, did I have that right date, Andrea? When you first shut down, and but how they've been continuing to provide essential services to parents and children, and all the planning that's going on as they prepare to reopen. So, Andrea, part of all these phases has been trying to get the working community back. We've got to get businesses reopened, but when you talk about businesses reopening, that means parents have to go to work, and then the issue of what do you do with your children? And I think that the state, fortunately, has had that in mind of recognizing that childcare, camps, those kind of services that take care of kids have to open up at the same time in order for this to be somewhat of a seamless transition. So how are things going with you in that realm? And you said that essential services, that program ends this Friday. What do you see going forward as far as parents looking for child care for their kids?
Well, our Wise Kids summer child care program will open July 1st at the Y. It'll look a little different, and again, there'll be a lot of hand washing. There'll be physical distancing, and when appropriate, the kids will be have to wear a mask. So it'll be a little different, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So the big changes are, capacity levels. We need 42 square feet per child. So last year we had about 120 kids in our Wise Kids summer program to 100, 120, 130, depending upon the week. This year we are limited to about 65. We're also putting a tent in our back parking lot, so we give them some more outdoor space that they can be outside and out of the sun. And the big thing is we really pride ourselves on giving the kids a lot of activity choices. So where the kids get to choose where they want to go, they might, at that point, they would mingle with other kids. This year, it is your counselor in your group, so there's no commingling of groups. So each group has their own room, each group has their own space, and they travel as a little cohort all day. And there's no large assemblies, or there'll be activity choices within the group, but there won't be the large activity choices where kids from other groups might get together and do different activities. So I think that's the biggest thing. There'll be a health screening every morning for the kids before they get dropped off, an attestation form that the parents will need to sign that's being mandated by the state. So it's going to be safe. Which we always pride ourselves on our safe programs. It's going to be a safe place for kids to be, and we're going to really programming it so the kids remember it as a summer of fun as opposed to a summer of so camp. Like I think if we could rename it to Camp Wash My Hands a Lot, that's what it'll be. But we really have some great staff in place and some great programming and the correct protocols from the state to order to do it safely.
What age groups will you be accommodating?
We are 5 to 12 at the Y.
And what kind of programs can parents expect? Physical, quiet?
All the above. It'll be the traditional YMCA programming. We just have to be creative and physically distance the program. But there's a lot of science, technology, engineering, math programs. There's things we can do outside. We can still use the pool. So it'll be. The kids are going to have a great time. It's just going to look a little different.
Oh, so you can use the pool for that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's great. And where do parents drop off? Where will your pickup and drop off points be?
It'll be in the back. It'll be in the back parking lot by the tent. And then the kids will come. We'll do a health screening. We'll have their counselors there, and they'll go to their group area. That way, it's just not a mass kids being all dropped off at the same time and 68 kids running around with each other. So even from the jump, they need to stay in their cohorts, their groups.
And so you said it's going to only be, you're limited to 65?
65.
65 kids. So is it the same 65? So once they sign up, you have the same kids every day, or does it change every day?
They can change by the week. So we used to have a 2-day option and a 3-day option for kids. Unfortunately, we had to eliminate that this summer. So if you're signing up for the full 5 days, and we're running through the end of August, but you don't have to sign up for every week. So typically we have, 90% of the kids are there for the entire summer. So they'll be with the same group.
And they have to bring their own lunches, or do you provide? I know you've always provided snacks and lunches to kids that didn't have lunches.
Well, my great friends at the Boys and Girls Club, Kelly Brown and Bill Parks and Bo Sullivan, they've been running the food program for the city since this started. And Kelly has reached out to me. So this year we're able to provide lunches from the Boys and Girls Club for all our kids in childcare. So it's a great thing. It was a win. You got to take the wins for the day. And now Kelly gave me a big win last week, so that we're able to provide these lunches that they're able to provide lunches for our kids all summer. They've been doing it for emergency childcare, and they're able to extend it for the summer. So a big shout out to the Boys and Girls Club and all that they've been able to do.
That is amazing. I am impressed with. I didn't realize that. Phenomenal. What a great example of Westfield coming together and uniting to provide resources to help other agencies with things that they couldn't possibly do. And I knew that Bill Parks and Kelly Brown, they've done a phenomenal job with the meals program, because I've had him on and heard him talking about that. But to hear the fact that they have reached out to you and say, hey, you've got kids, we've got meals, can we help you out? That's phenomenal. What team spirit. That's very moving to me. I love that.
Yeah, like we're all in the same boat, and the more we can do to rise each other's ships, I guess, the better. We're not going to be able to move forward as individuals. We need to find a way to move forward together. It's the only way we're gonna come through this on the other side, and we'll come out better than we were before. So it's all good.
Yeah, it is good. And I'm guessing I know that you've always used a lot of field trips in the past. I'm guessing field trips are out at this point, that programming will stay at the Y.
Yeah, the field trips are out. We could take some walks around the neighborhood, so we can walk over to grandmother's garden and get some outdoor space there as well. But group field trips to public places and putting kids on buses is not an option this summer.
What is the guidance? And you may not have an answer on this, but what's the guidance on kids having to wear masks? Are they required to or not?
It is highly recommended when the children cannot be physically distant from each other. And believe it or not, we have the kids in the emergency childcare services right now. They wear them on transitions to hallways, if they're going from inside to outside, and they're really good about it. They get it, they understand, and they've been doing this since March 20th with us. So, and then if you're under 2 and under, obviously you don't have to wear a mask. And then there is some parental discretion in that as well that the state has written into it, but it's recommended when you can't keep the kids 6 feet apart.
How are you finding that the kids are understanding and accepting all this? Are they fearful? Do they understand what's going on? All of a sudden they can't hug their parents or their grandparents or their counselors, or there's no social, kids are always so, they love to show their emotions and stuff, and now they have to stay apart. How is that transitioning for kids? What are you observing?
Well, I think the kids that I've seen in our program already, they get it. They understand. Kids are resilient, and they'll also follow the adult role models. So we have to, model the behavior for the kids, and the kids will follow suit.
Yeah, that's great. But I just feel so bad for them, because the fact that there's so many restrictions being put on them from what they normally live their life, and I fear for what they're going to remember or be impacted as they grow up. But it is the way of the current situation, so you've got to adjust to it. Any updates at all on Camp Shepherd?
Yeah, we're preparing to open camp on July 6th. So we are taking registrations for camp, and again, it's a lot of the same policies and protocols. No large group gatherings, no field trips. We've eliminated transportation. So there's no busing to camp this summer. The groups need to stay physically distant from each other and physically distance as much as possible within their groups. And mask when that can't happen. And again, it's common sense. If you have 10 kids outside and it's 90 degrees and they're 6 feet apart from each other, we're not going to have them in a mask. But if it's a rainy day and we got kids in the pavilion, then you might be wearing a mask, or in the locker rooms and things like that. So those are the guidance, and that's what we'll follow.
Are you going to be running with the traditional 2-week sessions as you always have?
Yeah, we are only doing 2-week sessions. Last year we had 2-week sessions and 1-week options, but we're only doing 2-week sessions this year, because again, it does keep the kids for those 2 weeks consistent with their counselor. So we're starting with a 1-week session, just because we're starting camp on July 6th. We'll have a 1-week session. We'll have 3 2-week sessions, and then at the end we'll have an additional 1-week session.
Okay.
So we'll have our 8 weeks.
And do you provide?
We are limited to again, capacity limits. You needed 42 square feet per child for emergency shelter for rainy days. So last year our largest session was 253 kids, and this year we are limiting to 140. So we've cut our numbers almost by half.
Yeah, that's a big drop. But I'm guessing that parents are definitely looking for it, and they're reaching out to you, I'm sure.
Yeah, registration has been strong, and parents are looking forward to it. The kids are looking forward to it. Again, we're incorporating everything that we need to do, the pre-screening for the campers at drop-off, the pre-screening for the staff at drop-off. If you present any of these symptoms, then you have to turn around and not come to camp that day. The kids will be in their designated groups. Groups won't commingle, and we'll wash bows and arrows in between each group. Kids will wash hands before and after every activity. We've developed some do-it-yourself hand washing stations. When those aren't available, you'll have hand sanitizer. So it really comes down to washing your hands, cleaning and disinfecting, and physically distancing. Everything that we should be doing as a community, we'll be doing that out at camp.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Will you be offering before and after care as well?
We are. So there's pre-camp and post-camp opportunities. Parent drop-off is anywhere between 8:30 and 9, so we can try to stagger it a little bit. And then parent pickup is between 3:15 and 4:15. And if you need pre- and post-camp care, that is available at an additional fee.
Mm-hmm. Is your camp staff lined up? Or are you still looking for camp counselors?
We are lined up, and training starts. They did CPR and first aid training yesterday, research, and camp staff training starts on Monday. So we're lined up, ready to go. We have our A team in place.
Who's your camp director?
Lauren Caprill. She's been out at camp for 4 or 5 years now. This is her second year as the camp director. We've added additional staff. We have 2 assistant directors this year to assist with programming. And then we have, we've also hired an additional maintenance person. So we'll have 2 maintenance staff out at camp this year as well, because there'll be enhanced cleaning, sanitation, things to do. So we've increased our staffing levels to meet the needs of our campers in our community.
Absolutely phenomenal. It was, I loosely follow the Y movement. And, I see a lot of discussion going on Facebook about the camping side of things. And, a lot of resident camps in particular have made the decision to close because they just can't, in a resident situation, they cannot really provide the social distancing that's required. But so happy to see that the day camps have been able to reopen. And, again, you've done really thoughtful, insightful adjustments to how you handle programming, because camp is all about exploring and kids sitting around cooking hot dogs and marshmallows and singing songs and going on hikes and going into the pool. And I'm thrilled to hear that stuff is still going to be going on.
They can still cook marshmallows. They just need their own stick.
They just need their own, which we always wanted them to have their own stick anyway, so that's no big deal. Right. Oh,
and for things like arts and crafts, you just you don't share materials, and what you do share, you need to be able to disinfect. So
right.
Whoever thought that you'd be disinfecting a canoe paddle, but that's what we're going to do this year.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Right.
Yeah.
So kayaking in the pond, swimming in the pool. Will the mountain bikes still be available?
Yep, the mountain bikes are available. They can be disinfected before and after. We're going to have the kids wear hair nets underneath helmets, just to add another layer of protection.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So we have all the disinfecting and cleaning supplies that we need in order to accomplish this.
What about the climbing wall and the ropes course?
We should be able to do that. We're still looking into a few things. So I'll have some questions we're licensed by our local Board of Health. So, Joe Rouse and his team will be out on July 2nd. So I do have some questions for them, because they are the professionals, to say, this is our protocol. Does it meet the standard? Will it work? And if it doesn't work, then we'll regroup and come up with a different activity.
Yeah. Andrea, I give you a lot of credit. You've been thrown a curveball in your staff, but you've responded magnificently, as I would expect. You've really put a lot of thought and consideration and safety in place. And, I've always preached, and when I was at Springfield College teaching classes to all of our aspiring YMCA professionals at the time, I always said the 2 program rules. What are the 2 program rules? Number 1, safety. Number 2, fun. And I've heard you reiterate both of those terms out there. You can't be safe enough, especially in these conditions, but it's also got to be fun, because that's what children will remember, and that's what we're here to do. So that's just phenomenal.
Hand sanitizing and cleanliness and disinfecting will become part of the culture, and I don't think that's going to go away next summer or the summer after. I just think it's who we are today, and this isn't going to be in our rearview mirror probably next summer. It might be easier, but we'll whatever we do today, we'll do tomorrow. But the idea is to show the kids a great summer. They need to get out of their houses. They need some social interaction with others. Their parents need them out of their houses, and they just need a place to go play in the woods or at the Y. So we'll provide a fun summer, and that's what we want the kids to remember, is how much fun they had. And we washed our hands a lot. And I went to camp and washed my hands, and I think I made a tie-dye. So that's what we're going for.
Well, parents are going to be amazed at how clean their kids are going to be coming home, because in the past they were always dirty, and let's get you in the bathtub because you're bringing all that camp dirt. But in certain respects, just germ germ warfare in general, this will be a good thing going forward. And I think to your point, I have never myself washed my hands as much as I ever have. And, I think it is the new normal and something that it becomes part of our lifestyle. And you certainly become more cognizant of just how germs and things like that are transmitted. Talking about camp, though, I have always said that of all the programs that a YMCA does, nothing is more transformational in a child's life than 2 weeks at camp, because it's so different, so unique from what their everyday life is. Most of us live in the city. When you go to camp, there's trails, there's woods, there's forests, there's bugs, there's animals. There's all kind of unique activities that you have never done. We're singing songs. We're doing a camp out potentially. We're cooking hot dogs and marshmallows. It's all those things that are so unique and different, and that's what kids remember, and especially the songs. Unfortunately, the buses were always filled with songs as they would come to camp or leave camp, but even when you see those kids out of the camp season, they're still singing those songs and remembering the experiences of camp. And I'm so thrilled to hear that Camp Shepherd's going to be reopening, because in light of what could be really a tough situation for children, the fact that we can still provide unique, positive programming that's going to be safe, but it's going to be fun, it's going to provide a lot of positive memories for these kids. And they'll look back on this summer as, it was a little bit different. We weren't able to go on vacation like we had planned, but I had a great summer at Camp Shepherd. Oh, the things that we did, oh, the fun that we had, and how caring my counselors were with me. So kudos to you and your staff to make that happen. Just outstanding.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as we start to wrap up here, one of the things I was thinking about, and certainly a huge part of the Y, is your senior programs. Seniors love the Y. Not only is it for the pool and for the classes, but for the socialization. Do you see senior classes coming back at all in this new model?
We hope to. We have our designated senior classes already, so that's not something new that we need to invent. Like, we need special senior programming. And again, they're not seniors; they're active older adults, right, Harry? We don't use the term.
Yeah, that's true. I know. I can't keep track of what am I? And I'm now I'm now a proud card carrying member of that group. So what am I? A senior active senior adult. I like that. I'm very active, and I'm definitely older. So
yeah. So we've had designated senior classes already. So again, we will bring that back using the same protocols that we bring back our other classes.
Right.
So, the big thing for us is that we'll have to make sure that, a lot of times our members like to get there early so they can socialize for 15 or 20 minutes before class or after class. We can't really gather in the hallways. So we have to have people, show up 5 minutes before class, grab their spot. And if it's a gym class, we're going to ask people to leave through the back door of the gym. That way they're not going back through the lobby. So looking at an exit point for the gym. To move the people out. Oh,
okay. Wow, that's great. Well, it's been really, really interesting to listen to this. And the other thing that I will say as I start looking at the time winding down here is the fact that, thank you to the members. I'm guessing that a lot of your members have kept their membership going during this time of shutdown, so that you've had operational funds to keep paying staff, and a lot of your big fundraisers have been put on hold. But if people are so inclined to still want to donate to the Y, you will accept them graciously and excitedly, and let people know that.
A huge shout out to the members who have stuck with us. They really made an impact. Like, we are a community organization going for the meeting community needs, and without our members, we wouldn't be positioned really to reopen in the manner in which we can. So a huge shout out to the members who have stuck with us. And as far as our annual premiere event, again, just a huge thank you to the sponsors who continue to sponsor the Y at our non-event. And that's Advanced Manufacturing, the Amati family, Roger Butler Insurance, Myers Brothers, Kalika, Westfield Gas and Electric, Air Compressor Engineering, Meztec, Westfield Electroplating, the Kiwanis Club of Westfield, Domus, EF Corcoran Plumbing. And then, we've also were able to receive a grant from YUSA to help us out. The Community Foundation of Western Massachusetts has been huge. And definitely, we had Eric Forish at Forish Construction. He's a great friend of the Y as well. So we've seen our donors and our members really step up to help us out in our time of need, in our crisis. So we can get through it. And we've been here for 132, 133 years. So if we got a bad 3 months in 133 years,
yeah,
in a very long history.
Well, the thing that I love about the Y is its resiliency. And to your point, we were established, I think, in 1888. Do I have my history right there?
Yep.
Trying to remember back now, but 1888, and it's been through its hard times and its good times, and this is definitely one of the most challenging that we've probably ever faced. But we'll come through it okay. And the key is to have strong leadership yourself. You have done an amazing job, Andrea, as CEO, of helping to keep the spirits of your staff going, I'm sure, to help provide the planning and the problem solving that will allow you to reopen in a way that people will feel comfortable in coming back to the Y, knowing that it's safe. It's going to be fun. We'll get back to some sense of normalcy. It won't be quite like it was, but we'll still have the Y in our life. And the Y has been such an important institution in Westfield for so long. So it's exciting to see that that's all going to be happening. So what I will say as we wrap up here, Westfield, thank you. And to those, that incredible list of contributors and donors to the Y, Andrea, those are the same people that have continually always stepped up. Thank you to all of you for doing what you've done, and to all of the people out there that they give small gifts. It doesn't matter what the amount is, as long as it's $1, $10, $100. Every dollar helps provide important services to our families and to the children of Westfield. And I certainly want to say thanks to Andrea Allard for everything that she has done, and to the staff of the Y, and to the board of directors and all the volunteers, because without you, the work of the Y doesn't go forward. So, Andrea, I want to thank you for being on this morning. A wonderful interview. Continue doing the great work that you're doing. You have been listening to Rock On Westfield with your host, Harry Rock. Our guest today was Andrea Allard, CEO of the YMCA of Greater Westfield, and in the control room with me is Pete Coles. You have been listening to WCPC Channel 15 and WSKB 89.5 FM. Have a great week, everybody, and we're going to take you out with the Beach Boys all summer long.